Now, I have to be honest. I have not actually taught this curriculum. So the hours that I have spent on the webinars going over them and over them to try to feel like I understood the program well enough to help you understand it. So just know that what I'm telling you is theoretical for me at this point, but it will absolutely be enough to get you going. Now, we are in the process of adopting this McGraw-Hill social studies program. There could be some of your schools that don't have it yet, and I'm very sorry, but you will be getting it soon if you don't have it in the next year or so. So I'm going to introduce you to the new program, so when you do get it, or if you already have it, you'll know what to do with it. Okay, clickers. This is like a $13 clicker, but I use PowerPoint. I use Google Slides for my Bible and for grammar and for different things, and it's really nice to be able to walk around and still. I don't have to be tied to my computer. Okay, so let's go over a couple of things here. Multi-grade. 2 grades is a combo. 3+ grades is multi-grade. 8 grades, 2 multi-grade. Because you have the 1 to 4 and the 5 through 8. Okay, so yes, which is why you get paid the big bucks, right? Now, some of the things that I'm talking about, that I will be talking about, do not apply to combo grades. I sat here about 9 years ago, and I was getting confused because I was teaching 2 grades, and they kept talking about these 4-year cycles, which didn't really fit. And so if you're a combo grade, don't pay attention to the 4-year cycles. They don't apply to you. Combo grades, you're just going back and forth between the 2 grade levels, which you have less to learn, but you also get to do the same thing over and over more. And so you multi-grade teachers, you get to do so many different things, and it will make your teaching so much more exciting and your life so much more exciting. So this is a good thing. All right, pacing guides. So Nicole was very kind, and if I could get, thank you, Callie. So I will keep one, and I'll send the others with you. This is a pacing guide that's printed straight off of the website. And so I'm going to just take you there. If you go to the Adventist Education website, when you come, it looks like that, and you go to NAD Educators Corner, and then you go to Curriculum, Social Studies, and that's where the pacing guides are, clear down at the bottom. And so you can click on that and then hit the download, and it comes up. So you have that. Thank you. So, cycle 3. You've been hearing cycle 3 a lot, right? So do you understand how those cycles work? Cycle 1, for 1 to 4, will be 1st grade. Cycle 2 will be 2nd grade. Cycle 3 will be 3rd grade. Cycle 4 will be 4th grade. And then 5th grade, cycle 1 is typically 5th grade. Cycle 2 is 6th grade. Cycle 3 is 7th grade. Cycle 4 is 8th grade. Now, those of you that have 3 grades, that's a little different because you're just going through 3 grades as opposed to 4. And so you also do not match the cycles. So don't try to make yours match cycles if you're just teaching 3 grades. Does that make sense? The cycles that we're talking about here are for the ones that are doing 4 grades. okay? Or the 2 multi-grade with the 1 to 4 and the 5 through 8 for the 1 to 8 teachers.
Can you just repeat that again? Sorry.
Yes, I can. Okay, so cycle 3 for 1 to 4 would be 3rd grade. Cycle 4 would be 4th grade. For the 5 through 8, cycle 3 would be 7th grade, cycle 4 would be 8th grade, and then you'd start back with cycle 1, 5th grade. Now, if you have 3 grades, you're going to be going through those 3 grades just like we do with the 4 grades, only it's just 3. And so you can't match your grade levels to these cycles. Don't try. You find out what the teacher taught the year before, and you teach the next higher one, unless they taught the highest level, and then you go back down. Does that make sense? Okay. It's an important thing, and I know that I sat there a little confused, and so I don't want you sitting there confused as I'm going through this. So here, the cycles for the combo. Even year is going to be even grades. Odd year is going to be odd grades. And they take that year from the end of the school year. So even though we're starting in 2024, we're ending in 2025. And so it's an odd year. So for those of us teaching combos, that means it will be 3rd grade and 5th grade, 7th grade, 1st grade. For multi-grade, here is a K to 2, which is quite helpful because there are a lot of K to 2s. I think we have a K to 2 here in this room. And so this is your cycle. But again, you want to know who has, what was taught before so that you can start right where you need to. And something else, let's see, I'll do it with the next one. Something else, this is grades 1 to 4. And so again, cycle 1 is 1st grade, cycle 2 is 2nd grade. But I want you to notice that as you go through here, you have things, here's people and money, quarter 4, cycle 1 for 1st grade. Then there's economics for grade 2 and economics of communities in grade 3. So if you're working on a theme, you might have the kids go to their own level of textbook to learn about it, because then they're more likely to be able to read it. And so that's just an idea. If you're teaching by theme, the themes match up pretty well. 4th grade is a little different because it's regions. And so you have all the 5 different regions. And so a lot of this other stuff is going to be right up there in the land and the people. So 4th grade is just a little bit different, and it's set up that way because that's the year that we teach state history. And I have some ideas, or not state history, regions. So I have some ideas on how to do that in a classroom that will work really well in your multi-grade classrooms. And then grades 5 through 8, I mean, again, we're getting more concepts, but as you look through, you're going to find common themes. And one thing that I want you to notice is cycle 1 here. Oh, this is different. Yeah, that's not, sorry.
I'm confused.
There were 2 different ones, and I guess I didn't look at it closely enough. So I'm going to get off of that screen. But, and correct me if I'm wrong, middle school teachers, but 5th grade is U.S. history, the first half of the book. And then 6th grade is the first half of world history. 7th grade is the second half of world history. 8th grade is the second half of U.S. history. And so those 2 books take in your 5th through 8th graders. Okay? There's one caveat to that. There was somebody that was teaching a 3rd through 5th. Is that right? Okay.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
So, since she's teaching 3rd, 4th, and 5th, rather than using the 6 to 8 books, there is an actual 5th grade impact book that matches the 1 to 4. And so if you are teaching a 3 to 5, a 3 to 6, you would very well want to use that one because it's a lower reading level. Okay? But that 5th grade impact is really only for the people that are doing a standalone 5th grade, possibly a 5-6 or the 3 to 5 combination. Anyway, we can come back to that a little bit more as we go because I know that there's a lot here. This is huge. The 3.0 is the curriculum. As nice as these textbooks are, they are not your curriculum. These textbooks help you teach the curriculum. And so as you're teaching, remember, there may be things in here that you don't actually have to teach, and you could better use your time teaching the things that have been pulled out as the priority standards. Adventist Learning Community. I went there and I watched these webinars over and over and over again. And if you just go to the Adventist Learning Community and put in McGraw Hill, a bunch of social studies will come up. And I believe it was also put up on the Padlet, the link to all of these. And so if you look under social studies, that should be there. Here's a demo account. This allows you to go on and play with it. And so take a picture of this so that you have it, because it is really helpful if you can't get your online access right away or you just want to play with it, to have this. And this allows you to look at all of the curriculum from K to 8. The my.mheducation.com. This is what I've used for most of my prep, because while I do have a login now for the one that I'm using, it wouldn't get me to the middle school one. All right, are we ready to move on? Okay. All right, there is also a Padlet. There's a Padlet for 6 through 8, and there's a Padlet for 1 to 4. And there's a QR code, and I'm not sure which Padlet this one gets you to. What's really cool about these Padlets is there is a link on the 1 to 4 one to get you to the 5 through 8 one. And there's a link on the 5 to 8 one that gets you to the 1 to 4 one. So once you're on one, you can easily get to the other. See the password? It is capital N, capital A, capital D, lowercase SDA, capital SS, and then 2023. And this PowerPoint is in the Padlet, and so you will be able to get to this later too. Absolutely. All right, so on this slide, I again put the code to get in. I'm going to get out of my PowerPoint because I don't want to have to enter the code. So here is the 6 through 8 one. And you can see that there are the training videos. And so those are there, the demo access. Here it has the yearly cycles, the correlations, overview of materials. There's digital support. There's all kinds of really cool things that will help you out as you are getting to know this curriculum. But then, when you get clear over to the end, do you see that? Link to K to 5 materials. And again, the 5th grade, the K to 5 for this, that is that easier 5th grade. If you are teaching a 5 through 8, you are going to be using the first half of this history book that will also be used in 8th grade. Okay, so the 6 through 8 is where you would be if you were teaching a 5 through 8 or a 6 through 8. Okay? So I click on that. And it's a lot of the same things. You have the training videos, the multi-grade cycles, just all kinds of really helpful information. And so use the Padlet as you're exploring. If you feel like, oh, I need to hear this again, those webinars are quite good. And the lady that did those did a really nice job. When you get to the end, again, you can see the link to 6 to 8 materials. So for you grades 1 to 8 teachers, you can get back and forth between them quite easily. Which one? Oh, that is the demo access.
So you need a username and password.
And it's that same one.
The username is?
It was capital NAD, lowercase SDA. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the same one. All right. All right, this is the K to 5. And again, this is if you have the 5th grade with lower grades. This is the 5th grade that you would do. So you can see that there's one for each of the grade levels. And there's you see how there's a blue band? There's an inquiry, our communities, a research, our communities, and a magazine. And so right here is the inquiry journal. Here is the research companion. And here's a magazine.
And that's just for one grade level?
That is one grade level.
Okay, just checking.
Just checking, yes, one grade level. The inquiry journal is consumable. The other two are not. And the inquiry journal is and this is the same for the upper grades as well. The inquiry journal sets the stage for what you're going to learn. And so we'll talk about that just a little bit more as we go. So let's see. Okay. Here's this inquiry arc. And this is the way that their books are set up. So engage is developing questions and planning inquiries. And so that would be your inquiry journal. Then as you're investigating, that's the dimension 2 and dimension 3 that are in red. You see that red? It goes right here. And so it's where all your research is. It's where your articles are and where they're doing a lot of their in-depth learning. And then in this magazine, there are fun things as well. There are short articles. There's also a teacher guide that gives you the questions to ask with this. There are some graphic novels, they're short graphic novels, but graphic novels that are in there, comic book type, and the kids, I think, will really enjoy that. And then after you've done all that teaching, you go back to the inquiry journal, and that's where they have their product. As they've finished out their learning, they're showing you that they've learned.
Is that dimension 4? You're coming back to the inquiry book?
Yes. So dimension 4 is where you're communicating what you've learned or taking action with what you've learned, and that finishes out in the inquiry journal. And that works for the 6 through 8 as well. So here you have, this would be like the research book. You also have the inquiry journal for them as well. And the inquiry journal for them is also consumable. So they can be writing in here. Online access. This is really super cool. I'm going to show you some of it. There are parts that I have really not used, and if you get really excited about it, you will know where to go to find it. And on the webinars, they go through setting up a grade book and running everything online a little bit more. So I'm going to show you more what I'm doing. Let's see. Okay, so if you look, oh, I'm using a different one, but it won't matter. I'm using an old code. Okay, so I'm going to jump to 3rd grade. And it comes up like this. And so you have the chapter 1 title, you have your ebook options. Over here, the inquiry journal, the research companion, the impact, the teaching guide for the magazine, and the magazine. And as you're ordering, it's just about the same price to order the physical and digital. And when you do that, you want to do the 6-year digital, because the 1 year is almost as much as the 6 year, and so it doesn't make a lot of sense. But there are a lot of good reasons to have access to the online resources for you as the teacher, even if you aren't having your kids working on it online. So over here, there are additional resources clear over on the left, and there are learning tips, there's impact news, and there's just some interesting things. The impact news takes news articles that kids would be interested in and lets them actually see what's happening in our world that would connect to what they're learning. And any of those connections are always so helpful. Over here on the left, you have my programs, and so yours, if you're not teaching all of them and you haven't purchased all of them, you'll just have access to the ones that you are teaching from, the ones that you've purchased. This is the dashboard. And then the course, this is the course, and it's kind of like those skeletons where you can, or table of contents, where you can skip through and get to what you want. So here up at the top, there's a place that's expand all. And so I can expand that. And then I can start scrolling down. And it has the ebooks there that you can see. This, do you see that fast track? That is really cool, because sometimes, as people have said, Christmas practice is happening, math testing is happening, and you need to be able to do things a little bit faster. Well, this fast track has it laid out for kindergarten through 5th grade, and it is set out with...
You said so I can see that and your box popped up.
I'm so sorry. Anyway, it will go through each of the chapters. So like chapter 1 for kindergarten. Yeah, no, it's interesting, it's just that one. So for chapter 1 for kindergarten, If you did lesson 3, 4, and 5, that would give your kids what they needed to be able to answer their essential question. And so again, as you're paying attention to the standards, realize that sometimes if you're short on time, looking at this fast track could help you get through a little bit faster. And you can get to the same thing by doing this browse, or similar to browse this course, where I can go in, I can expand all, and just start looking through. There's all the teacher important things, there's engage and how to engage the students, and there's actually a PowerPoint that is all set up for you that you can decide that you don't want to see all the slides. And so you can tell it which slides you don't want to see. And just have the ones that you want. There are videos, there are Kahoot games, there's really, really good things. And to do that, you go into present. Up there at the top, there was a present button. And you can go right through this. And over right up here, let's see. Oh, way up there, there's a little arrow going into a line. You click on that, and that brings out all the slides that are in this presentation. And so if you want to edit the presentation, you would click on that button right above it to edit. And now I can toggle that, and I can tell it which ones I want to show or which ones I don't. There's also a move button. If you want to do things in a different order, you can do that. And so that is super cool, because if I can teach from a slideshow, I'm not tied to my book. I can be looking at the kids more, which again is why I enjoy having a clicker, because then I can be more interactive with them. All right, let's see. Something else, I'm going to go back to that, because they're up at the top, there's the square box with the arrow. If you click on that, it opens it in a new tab. That's really nice to be able to have it in a new tab, because then you can go back to your original page and you can navigate around it so that you're prepared for the next thing, but you aren't going to lose where you are in your presentation. Okay, so let's see, there's a grade book. And that's on the demo. You can actually go in and play with this. And it just shows the student demo. There's a calendar. That would be if you were assigning things to the kids online, which I don't do at my grade level. I know that if our Aspire schools, they would absolutely be doing things like that maybe. There's the calendar, there's assignments, there's the roster of students, reports. Let me show you the assessments. The assessments are really cool because they're editable. So if you go in to the grade 3 Impact Social Studies assessments, we'll just choose one. And I can actually click edit. If you go over to those 3 little dots clear on the side, then you can edit. So here's my question. Think about where you live. Is it hilly or flat? And then there are more questions. And then here are your answer choices. A place that has pleasant weather, a spot that's good for sightseeing, an area of land with particular features, a piece of land with many homes on it. If you don't want your students to have 4 options for that, you can click the X and get rid of it. You can get rid of anything that you don't want for your students. You can change the wording of any of these things. And that is perfectly okay because as soon as you start editing, it makes a copy. You cannot break their quizzes. They will be there. You can go back to it every single time, but if you have it set up the way that you want, it will be saved under your assessments. Let's go back to and so, I mean, you can do folders and things like that with that. Oh, when it's time to print it out. Up, let me make sure I have that right. Let's see. I don't want to be, oh, I bet it's here. See what I mean? I mean, there are so many different ways to click things. So I just went over to one of these and I clicked on the little, she called it a shish kebab. And here you can print it. The kids can also do this online if you're interested in that. It's set up to do that, or you can print it. And so sometimes it's nice to have both options. My tools is where you can add things that you want to. And I have not done much with that, I'll just be honest. Let's go back to the course. Because I want to show you some of what you can do inside the books. Let's see. I'm going to go to... So I'm going to pull out the student inquiry journal. So here, again, up towards the top, there's a square that has an arrow and the 3 lines. If you click on that, it will take you to one page so that it's bigger. And so you can be showing this to your students so that they can see exactly what's in their book. And so when you go to this page here where it's doing the investigate, you can show them exactly what their book looks like, and you can be demonstrating what you want in those boxes. You could be writing in them, but it's just helpful to have exactly what they do when you're trying to explain it, because they can be seeing it and you can be pointing to it. Now, let's say that you have a student who struggles with reading. Maybe they can read fine, but maybe this stretches them a little bit more than what you want them to, because you really want them to get the content knowledge as opposed to reading the words but not really understanding what they're reading. They don't have great comprehension. There is that speaker that will read it to them. You can actually highlight exactly what you want read. Now let's see if this works.
Images, copyright, McGraw, education, investigate.
Okay, I know what I did. So over here, we can highlight that. Now let's try.
It's 8 to 17 in your research companion.
Nope.
Use your investigative skills to...
All right, I'm sorry. I've seen it do it, I promise. Anyway, if you're having kids working online, you can have them highlight answers to questions, and they can actually turn that in. And so there's just a lot of really good things. Let me see if I have anything more that I put up here that I wanted. Oh, okay. I'm going to jump over to the 6 through 8 because this is an absolutely amazing resource. It's, by the way, stuff you should know. So I was just going to see, I had a page here and it did not save everything. So I will show you how to get to this, but just this resource is huge. There are words all the way across the top, all the stuff you should know. You decide, after the fact, careers, election central. And you can click on any of those and it will bring up articles. So articles that are current, articles that apply to what they're learning. And so here you could click on History of Juneteenth, or remembering the 80th anniversary of the Normandy invasion. If I click on this, you can see that there are archives and there are categories. And all of these gray boxes, you can click on those and you can get way more information for your students, way more articles that they can read and learn from. And so it would be practical history, things that are a way to use what they've learned in history right now. And so you can do specific searches, or you can just go through the categories and just look through and find the ones that you want. And then these, you'd be able to assign them to your students, or you'd be able to show them here on your computer to them. Let me see. The 6 through 8, I was going to show you exactly where to go to get to that resource, and I want to show you at least the front page of So I'm going to go to My Programs because that will show everything that you have, and let's just skip to U.S. History. And again, you have your ebook options, you have your inquiry journal, you have the textbook, you have the teacher manual. Over here is this BTW. That's that, by the way, that had all of those amazing resources. So if you teach 6 through 8, you definitely want to be looking at that, because any way that you can help your students connect right now to what's happening, the better they're going to understand things and understand their world. Again, you can go to browse this course, and you can go to one of these lessons, and you have the expand all, or you can just expand one at a time. You can present. And you have that slideshow. So this one has images. 6 toes. And that box up at the left that has the line with the arrow will show you all the different things that are out to the side. And so I'm not going to have any more time to spend on these online, the capabilities of it. But remember that you can go back and watch webinars, and that person will walk you through all of this again. I'm just giving you an overview and hoping that some of the things that I said, it's like, oh, yes, I like that. That would be very helpful to me. I'm really excited to get to use this program. I'm going to go back. And I'm going to skip over. Oh, this is important. I don't have the information for 6 through 8, but for 1 to 4, a lesson is a week. So that's important. They're thinking for a lesson as a week. So that was helpful to me. And 6 through 8, I don't remember hearing anything like that, so you might have to count up the lessons that you have and then use that to decide how many to do each quarter. Okay, we went through that. There's an app. And so if you look up McGraw Hill, you can find this. It's Apple, it's Amazon, it's Google Play. So you should be able to get the app for phones, iPads. I mean, I have Kindle Fires in my room. We could do it on that. And that's a way that students can access it online, and you can as well. This would be the student portion. Technical support, this is another good one to take a picture of, or just remember that it's here. There's a website, there's a phone number, there's an email. They do not want teachers struggling teaching this social studies. They're excited about it, and they want you to be excited about it too. Now, learning fair. Typically, every year, a school will have a learning fair of some sort. These are super important because they're great marketing for your school. It's a great way to interact with parents and for parents to say, wow, look at everything my kid has done. And they'll be so excited, and anytime you can have them excited about student learning, that's fantastic. So here are some ideas that you could do, and most of these ideas could be done for a wide age range. This one is the United States Lapbook Bundle. This is fantastic if you're teaching regions, because that region's textbook, if you follow it the way it is, it will probably take you about the whole year. You don't necessarily have time for that, because you're supposed to be teaching state history as well. So what I do is I use these lapbook bundles, and we'll do one together. So I might choose the region that we live in and do that one together as a group, and everybody does it. But then there are 4 left, and I let the kids choose which they would prefer to do. I mean, within reason. I don't want 10 people doing one and nobody doing another one. So I might give them a certain number of people that can do each one, so have a second choice. And then there is information. So I have 2 different products. Let's see. Okay. This is the actual lap book. There's another one that has information. Often you can find the information in the textbook, and that's very helpful. But there's also sheets that go with this that are a great resource, that are short sections that go with each portion of the lap book. So this is what a finished lap book could look like. You see there are different foldables. They're learning about the land, the water, the animals. They're learning about products and resources, the culture, the climate. They're learning about the states. They're learning about landmarks. And so they get a lot of information, and then you have each group work on a presentation to present their region to the rest of the class. So they've done in-depth work on one, but they're exposed to all of them. And here's one that just wasn't colored. And so there are different ways that you can do it depending on what you want to do. This one is kind of cool because it's all blank. And so you can decide how you want to use it. I have a daughter who also teaches 3rd and 4th grades. And so we use some of these with a science, it would have been life science. And so we were talking about life cycles. So we were able to pull some of these to use for life cycles, for different living things that we were talking about. Anyway, they're good for lots of different subjects, but they can be used in social studies as well. These are water bottle people. And so it's just a cute idea that's a little different. I also saw one that was toilet paper tube people that you could have sitting out, and the kids could be a little creative, but yet it's a small thing that they're decorating. And this is on Teachers Pay Teachers. All of these resources that I've put on, that I'm showing you here, I actually put on underneath social studies. Some of them cost money, some of them are free. Again, we're always looking for new resources. This is kind of cool. This can be used for biographies. So who is, who was, I wonder, I learned. So it's another way of doing a book report. This is for younger students and to introduce them to it. And so what I thought would be a really fun idea is everyone can be doing a book report on a biography, but they'll be at different levels. And that if you have a really young one that maybe needs some help writing things, you have your older students that can help with that. Black History Month. I know we're not supposed to just do a Black History Month, but this resource is incredible. It has a whole list of men and a whole list of women who are leaders, who have done amazing things. And there is a whole sheet of information, and then you have, probably 8 different things that you can do, products that the kids can come up with that make a wonderful bulletin board. And they just added to it, and they put in all of those same things. I mean, like there's a hand. I've got to hand it to you. Or there's a little newspaper that they can do. Or there's a gift. One gift that I would give this person is. Well, they have them specifically for the people, but they also have a set that's blank. So you could use that for anyone. And they're just really fun resources, and it's just a different way for the kids to think, because as they're thinking about what gift they would give their person, they have to know enough of that about that person to know what that person would like. And so that's always an interesting one to me. And so these are just all great ways of including all of the students in your class, and they can all be doing something similar, but just at different levels. And that is the end of that. So I know it was drinking from a fire hose, and I told you I spend hours and hours going through and playing. But the lady that did the original, Jill, who did the original webinar, she said, you can't break it. So just start clicking, all right? Because you cannot damage anything. So feel free to just click on everything, go back to the webinars, and get any of the information that you need to be able to move forward in your planning and in your teaching. But you can teach just straight from here, and you're perfectly fine. If you're saying, that sounds really cool, but it sounds like a bit much right now, you have the textbooks. Just use the textbooks. You have your teacher editions, you have the textbooks, and you'll be able to teach very well just straight from the textbooks. And if you say, I think I'd like to try and see what else I could find to go with this lesson that would add some interest for my students and for myself, know that it's there. Any questions before I hand this over to the next people?